Tank Blitzers, it's a Littlefinger. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a full tank review on the Kunze Panzer here with the Daredevil camo. Wow, this thing looks really nice. Fun little tier 7 German premium tank, which was just given away in the birthday, 7-year birthday event, the Strength-O-Meter, where you had to do about 2,500 damage over 7 days, 10 consecutive battles. In order to get it free. And I'm just curious, guys, how many of you didn't even try, spent full price of gold for it? How many of you managed to get it for free like myself? And what did you end up spending on it? And do you think it was worth it? As we go through and review this tank. So let me just go through my setup here before we do some comparisons and talk about the tank itself. Repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. I could see a huge argument here for running the engine power boost, and we'll get to the reasons why. Horsepower per ton is not bad, but it's your train resistance that's bad on this tank, and we'll show you that here in a second. So I'm running chocolate, improved fuel, and standard fuel, which is, a little bit different for a light tank. You'd want to use chocolate most of the time, but I felt like just getting myself that extra speed and increasing that power to weight ratio was so far the better choice. We might change that as we go on with more battles here. 30, 13, and 7. Remember, we've got heat as our premium ammo, and we're making sure we're clicking that button to buy it with credits. Equipment, still tweaking this. I can see an argument here for running gun rammer, but right now, guys, I've played 8 battles in it. Every one of them has been as top tier, so I haven't come across any tier 8s. Now, the reason I'm leaving it right now on calibrated shells is because it gives us 10% for heat and HE, and as I just said, heat is our premium ammo, so that's going to give us 259 pen, which should be sufficient against tier 8s, but I want to put that into practice first before I decide to go ahead and run that gun rammer, which you can see is only going to lower our reload time by half a second. So let's put that back. Going with the defense system, improved optics, enhanced gun lane drive, getting our aim time down to 3.7 seconds. Again, I could see an argument for supercharge. Our shell velocity is only sitting at 805 compared to 1,000, 1,200 for some of the other light tanks at this tier, but as long as you're not sniping from a distance, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Supercharge obviously helps with your loss of pen over distance. So I'm running the enhanced gun lane drive for now. Improved assembly, we don't have armor, so there's no point running enhanced armor. Engine accelerator, moving on, refined gun gets our dispersion down by 0.3. Typically on a tank that I would be shooting on the move, I would run vertical stabilizers, but I haven't noticed much bounce with the gun barrel. Therefore, I am sticking with refined gun, toolbox, and consumable delivery system. All right, guys, BlitzStars.com, you know the drill. We're going to compare the tier 7 light tanks here. No equipment selected so that it is a fairly straight up comparison. 2,100 damage per minute puts us right in line with all the other tanks except for the M41D with 2,600. That's insane. Pen 160 is going to be the highest of the tanks, as is the alpha damage, doing 225. So keep that in mind. Your reload is longer than any other light tank in the game outside of the autoloaders, obviously. Which means they're going to be able to get 2 shots off before you can get 2 shots off. So just keep that in mind in those brawling situations if you are low hit point. 805 shell velocity. This is kind of what I was talking about. Somewhere up here in the 1,000 range is where you like to be if you're sniping. So keep that in mind as well. Obviously not a tank that's really built for sniping. Aim time 1.93, dispersion 0.33. As you saw, we get that below 3 with the equipment that we've installed. What I do like, one of the biggest strengths of this tank here is the 10 degrees of gun depression that comes in handy, and we'll show you that also on the armor inspector. 70 kilometers per hour is your top speed. That's the fastest of the group. However, when you look at power to weight ratio, you're sitting here at 26.73 with a train resistance of 1, which is an arbitrary number put on by Blitz. And so when you look at your effective horsepower of 26.7, it is well below these other tanks, making this tank feel so slow and sluggish, which is why I say, the engine power boost could be of benefit on this tank. Yeah, you're going to get up to the 70 kilometers per hour, but by the time you do, this M41D is going to lift you in the dust. So that is the downside, in my opinion, to the tank. And finally, just want to touch on the armor here. 63 on the front, 40, 30, 20 on the hull. Only the LTTB is a little bit stronger, but, any of these numbers are certainly HE-able by most heavies and TDs at tier 7 and 8. So we'll jump in real quick and just do a quick over here on the armor inspector. You can see you could probably get some bounces off the side if you're able to bait someone who might be aiming here to shoot and hit here. But outside of that, the only other way really is to get yourself on a hill and use the effective armor. This is only 40 millimeters. And when you angle it up, you're going to get that up over what the LTTB can do here in this case. So let's jump into some gameplay. All right, guys, so here we are. Mayan Ruins is the first game I've got to show you here. So looking at their lineup, you've got heavy AT, heavy LTTB, heavy, and the anniversary tank, right? And if you look at ours, we've got 4 heavies as well. So I don't want to overcommit to the right. What I've been trying to do is not be as aggressive early in battles. It's obviously easier to say than to do. And especially when you're in a tank that can do 70 kilometers per hour, you can find yourself in some really difficult situations. So we're going to go spot up where Cap usually is in supremacy, and we get a little unfortunate shot there and only get the tracks of the LTTB. So I am not sure who's going to be coming around this side. Obviously we know the LTTB is there. Now we know the anniversary is there. And the only reason I've come down this far is because I have the AMX TD with me here. Just making sure he's still with me. But I'm not going to rush into that situation. They've got now 4 spotted on the other side, so there's still 1 more not accounted for. And now I'm just trying to find angles to get shots in. LTTB has come up and pushed aggressively. And now this is what happens when you push overly aggressive. I've now gotten 2 shots in, 3 shots in to his 1. And I've got a Yak Panzer that's now distracted him, and I've gotten a 4th shot into his 1 shot. So that right there from the LTTB is being overly aggressive, not knowing where all the enemies are and pushing too hard. And so if there's any one takeaway from light play style, that is it. It's a fine line of being aggressive enough to get the spots. Now I've noticed that the AT was already over here. I wasn't sure if he was down in the river or up high here, so we have the maneuverability just to destroy this poor guy. And the next shot here is going to damage the ammo rack. So one of the lovely things about these hit markers is let's aim for that exact same spot, and if it damaged the ammo rack the first time, hopefully we'll get enough to damage it and explode it as we did there. So 2100 damage, and this is the painful part about a light tank. You would expect it to already be up to top speed, and you can see we're sitting here still at 30-40 kilometers per hour. All right, so our heavy team has done well, and there's just 1 more tank left. And unfortunately, we're only going to get 1 more shot in here. But a good team. Kind of something that's difficult these days to find, but you know, 2300 damage in a tier 7 is certainly not that bad. It's going to be only good enough for a level 3, 53,000 credits there. Alright, so we're moving on to the second battle here on Canal. And like I said, I've played 8 battles in the tank, so I'm still feeling it out. I have yet, for some reason, yet to face a tier 8. And again, just like in the last match, they've got 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 TDs, and a heavy. So strong suspicion they're going to be over here at D, so we don't want to overcommit and get ourselves into trouble, but yet we still would like to try to be aggressive and spot. So there was a horrible shot by me, but now, you know, we can get into a hold down position. The tank is not going to play well hold down, as I showed you in the armor inspector, but you know, if we play our cards right, we can get our shot in, back up, and have them miss like that. Now again, I am not over committing here. I've got 4 tanks behind me, so let's just wait and see. And I figured we would run in here with the T-34-1 once I see that the opposing Daredevil is a one-shot. We try to get in there and get the kill. Now the Edelweiss should be alone, so let's get in here and get some damage on him. And if I remember correctly, I had a little bit of a lag spike there, but I'm still waiting on my help. And here comes the Hellcat to get some distraction so that we can get some shots in. And one of the great things, you know, is using your teammates for bait, right? Especially if they're lower health. The other team should be focusing on low health tanks. We'll see that a little bit more in my next game, as my iPad fails me again and drops the drive finger, which is something I struggle with the iPad Pro. But you know, we're still competitive. We've each lost 3 tanks, so we'll figure we'll get in here and cap D just to keep it a little bit closer. Now, we've only spotted 1 tank there at C, and you know, I thought maybe they might have 2 TDs, right, and they're going to be back in the corner of A, so I decided here I would try and go spot them up. But what you see happen here is the T-150, as I get called out for not helping here, decides to drop into the valley. Now I'm in a perfect position. I'm so far away that I can't be spotted. And you'll get a good idea here of the accuracy and shooting at distance on the tank with the setup that I talked about. So we have the slower shell velocity, so we're losing a little bit of pen over distance, but it doesn't seem to be a problem. When I watched this replay again, you know, I started to notice a little bit of bounce in the aiming there. So that would be your enhanced gun lane drive, would help you with that. I must have hit a dead tank there. So 2 left, and now we'll get the acceleration. And thankfully we've got downhill trajectory, so that'll help with our getting up to top speed. Once you do get to top speed, you know, the tank moves really well, as you would expect. So 1 tank left. And yeah, he's over at A. While all of that was happening, you know, they capped out A, which gives it away that he's still up here. So let's see if we can get in here and get some more shots in. Only 15 degrees of gun elevation. You see that come into play there as we're cresting over that hill. I've got plenty of hit points left. He can take his shots at me all he wants. And here comes the Hellcat to help out. Not that I really want help on a TD, but again, 2350 and damage, 2 kills. Fun little game there. You got to see the movement and mobility 23, 50,000 credits. All right, and the last game that I wanted to show here is Alpine Stad. Supremacy again, top tier. We've got a heavy, 2 mediums, 2 lights, 2 TDs. So, same as with the last couple games. Oh yeah, we certainly had some lag there. Try to spot, but try not to be too aggressive, right? Again, fine line of doing both. And I'd like to pull up to this bush. The bush does give you extra camo, as does having camo on your tank. Light tanks do not have penalties for moving, so we don't have to worry about sitting still. So we've got 2 tanks there lined up. The VK 3001. I thought he was going to drive through the opening, so I've just wasted my adrenaline because obviously he's knows better than to pull forward into the opening. You notice we've lost a player already. Overly aggressive, getting yourself into a situation of having essentially 3 tanks that can shoot him. Plus, as I mentioned, they have 2 TDs. You know one of them sitting in the back down there. So, need to get in and make these guys a little bit uncomfortable as this opposing Panzer tries to make a run for it. We've still got 1 Panzer up on the hill and the VK-30 over there. So I'm thinking to myself, can I get into this valley and get shots here and keep that VK off of me? We can take our shot and back up. Just keeping an eye on the VK. There's a good shot there of the redness of that overly pull down effective armor on Kunze. So you can draw a few bounces from that. Down a tank. We've got the Emil over here. So everyone's focusing on him, so I want to get him out of the game. Not sure where that shot went, but now it's time to drop adrenaline and push in. Now we're down 2 tanks. When we find the AFK SU-100. So since the Emil is not on me, I decided to go ahead and take the first shot. Damaged ammo rack. Let's go back and finish him off. Interesting, 2 ammo racks in 8 games with this tank. Emil is now 1 shot, so we can finish him off before he can even face us. 3 versus 3. The Panzer straight ahead at B is a 1 shot, so I want to get him out of the game. And you can see here, it's just frustrating. The acceleration, this thing is, you know, not light tank accelerating. I mean, that's as we talked about because of the power to weight ratio, right? Like we said, it's got a 1, whereas all of the other tanks have a 0.6. So that makes your effective horsepower per ton way less than the other ones. So now we've got it down to a tank advantage. However, we are still down caps. So thankfully we bait one off of that sloped armor. And how about this? Tiger P with a faster reload than the light tank. Yeah, so he's focused in on me even though he has a VK to his right. So I want to get him distracted and looking at the VK so that we can get in here and get some shots on him. 3 hit point kill. The Crom comes in here trying to finish off the VK. They're at 850, but he is the last tank, and I didn't realize this, but I was at 5 kills here. So another ammo rack critical. Wanted to make sure that this shot goes. Having a little bit of difficulty getting off the bridge. Make sure we aim in here and get our 6th kill, 3,000 damage. Expecting to see the ace mastery. And yeah, not to be, guys. Not to be. That's a level 1 with a pool medal. 1104 is that 94 with the EXP. Not good enough for an ace. So there you have it. Some games in the Kunze Panzer. A very nice free tank indeed. The only downside I would have complaint would be that it just does not accelerate like any of the other tier 7 light tanks, but once you get it moving, it is fun to play. So guys, tell me how much you spent on it and if you like it, and of course, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.